Hello, my name is Casey Tilton, and this is my final project for Introduction to Programming with Python. In this video, I will be demoing a library called BeautifulSoup that is used to scrape websites and parse HTML. The script I will be demoing takes data from baseballreference.com and creates a data set with the name of every professional baseball player in the history of the sport and the years that they played. And finally, I'll show you some simple data analysis that I can do now that I have the data set. And here are the required libraries for the script. First thing I want to do is find the web page that I want to parse, and I want to right-click and inspect element. This should open up a source page, and what I see is that every one of the baseball players that I want to grab is located under a P tag. So, for example, you see Tommy Aaron and the dates that he played. So remember, P tag is what we want. So we go back to the code. The first step is to import BeautifulSoup and the requests library. Next, I want to set a variable to a requests.get and the URL that we want to grab HTML from. Next, I want to create a BeautifulSoup object so that we can parse the data. And as you can see, the contents of a request.get call is super messy. So we need BeautifulSoup to actually parse the HTML and make it readable. We do that by doing a mlb-soup.prettify, and when we scroll down, you can see the HTML is much easier to read. Next, we want to use findAll to get the content under the correct tag. In this case, it's the P tag. So we set a variable to mlb-soup.findAll, use the P tag, and this for loop returns the strings inside each of the elements with a P tag. So as you can see, we're almost there, but we have a little bit of extra text that we don't want. So we need one additional for loop to separate the player names from that other text. And that's right here. So as you can see, we have a list of strings. Now that we've parsed the HTML to grab only what I need to clean the data to make it easier to analyze. And I set a new list, and I use this code to get rid of all the characters from each string. Next, I want to split each of the strings into smaller strings, so now I have a list of lists that will be easy to import into a CSV file. Unfortunately, the length of each list is not the same because not every single player in the full list has exactly one first name and one last name. So, for example, there are some players with one name, and there are others with last names of like De La Cruz. So these four if and elif statements get rid of those weird cases. Now with that, we have a list of lists with all players with the last name that starts with A. However, I could have easily just copied and pasted all these names, and it would have been easy to do in Excel. The real magic of web scraping is that with a few additional lines of code, we can grab the HTML for each of these pages and add the relevant data to our data set in a matter of seconds. So what I do is I use this for loop and nested for loop to create a BeautifulSoup object for each URL A to Z, and then I append the relevant text to an empty list. Then I run the same code from before to clean all that data. And last, I want to add a column to the end of each row that will be the length of the player's career. And I do that by subtracting this number from this number. But it's important to make sure you add a 1 to that value. Otherwise, players who played one season will have a 0 as the length of their career instead of 1. And finally, rewrite the data to a CSV file. And as you can see, with just a few lines of code, I very easily create a pretty long data set. And now I'll just show some quick data analysis that you can do with the data set. For example, if you wanted to look at all the rookies that played this year or that started this year, you could do that. You could have a for loop that returns all of the current players. This for loop prints the list of Hall of Fame players. So the original HTML had a plus sign next to every Hall of Fame player's last name, so I just left that in makes it easy to separate all the Hall of Fame players out. With a simple if statement, you could separate all the players with long careers. For example, all the players that played longer than 20 seasons. As you can see, it's a pretty long list, 161 players. One of the original questions I wanted to answer when I looked at this data set is what is the average length of an MLB career? Using the NumPy library, you can easily do that with the np.mean call. So for the entire history of baseball, the length of an average career is 5.74 seasons. But if you separate only players who played after the year 2000, the mean is 4.69. So that's an interesting finding. So I hope that gives you a quick sense of the types of things that are that you can do with with Beautiful Soup. Before I end, I want to thank baseballreference.com for use of their data. And I also want to acknowledge 3 useful Beautiful Soup tutorials that I suggest you watch if you're interested in learning more about web scraping with Python. Thanks for watching.